I'm skipping the pleasantries today to talk about a very specific kind of annoying that anyone working in Fabric already knows exactly.
You just want to check one simple thing, right? Like, is this column actually populated? Or maybe you just need to know if that latest pipeline run wrote the correct row count, or if it's just sitting there entirely null. So what do? You spin up a notebook, you sit there waiting for a Spark session to actually start, you write 3 lines of PySpark, you finally get your answer, and now you've got an entire cluster running for what was essentially a 15-second question. It's incredibly frustrating. Well, as of the July 2026 update, that workflow is completely over. Lakehouse Query Explorer is now built directly into the Lakehouse page itself. You open any Lakehouse and bam, there's a new query tab sitting right next to your Table Explorer. This means you can write Spark SQL right there against your actual tables. No notebook required, and absolutely no detour to the SQL Analytics endpoint. Let's actually look at what it does in practice, rather than just reading what the changelog says. When you open a Lakehouse, write a select statement, and hit run, it connects to a lightweight Spark session through the Lakehouse's Livy endpoint. And to be clear, that is the exact same execution engine your notebooks use. You just don't have that bulky notebook wrapper around it anymore. Plus, you actually get IntelliSense while you type, which I know seems like a small thing, but it heavily matters when you're writing quick, exploratory SQL and you really don't want to have to memorize every single column name in a 40-column table. But the part that actually changes your workflow is that you can query across schemas and even across multiple lakehouses, all within a single tab. If you've got bronze and silver as separate lakehouses, which if you follow the medallion architecture pattern I've covered previously, you probably do, you can now join across both of them without constantly switching context or trying to open two notebooks side by side. And the results just land in a built-in grid that has inline charts. So if you just want to eyeball a data distribution, you don't need to pipe anything into a separate visualization tool just for a 2-second sanity check. Now look closely at the session behavior on the status bar at the bottom, because this genuinely matters. It explains something that will absolutely confuse you the very first time you see it. The first query you run, it's going to say starting session. That's a cold start. And yeah, it takes a few seconds because Spark is literally spinning up underneath you. But every single query after that, as long as the session stays alive, runs immediately. Warm start, no wait. So that first query of your session feels slow, and then suddenly it doesn't. And I want to be super clear. That is expected behavior, not a bug. Now, here is the capability most people miss entirely. And honestly, it's the actual reason this feature replaces way more than just your quick select checks.
It supports full DML. That means real insert, update, delete, and merge statements. You can do real write operations directly against your Delta tables, not just reads.
Think about that. The SQL Analytics endpoint has literally always been read-only. In the past, if you needed to patch a handful of bad rows or run a super quick merge, your only option was to boot up a notebook. Now, it's just a query tab. And here is the gotcha. This is the thing that will actually bite you hard if I don't tell you right now. Literally none of this persists. If you close the Lakehouse, if you navigate away, if you accidentally refresh the page, every single open tab and everything you wrote inside it is completely gone. There is no save, there is no history, there is zero draft recovery. I cannot stress this enough. If you write a complex block of logic that you know for a fact you'll need again, you need to copy it out to your clipboard immediately. Because ultimately, this tool is built for fast, disposable exploration. It is not for storing your actual transformation logic. So when do you still reach for a real notebook instead of this? Well, anything that needs to be scheduled, anything that needs to live in source control, anything with real business logic that another engineer needs to actually read and understand 6 months from now, that still completely belongs in a notebook or a pipeline where it's versioned and reviewable. Query Explorer is just for, let me check something real quick, that 15-second question that used to cost you a full agonizing notebook spin-up. It is not a replacement for how you build production pipelines, and frankly, Microsoft isn't positioning it that way either. Still, if you're doing daily ad hoc validation in Fabric, this alone is fully worth updating your runtime for. I cover new Fabric features the exact week they actually go GA, way before most tutorials catch up to them. If that's useful to you, that's exactly what subscribing gets you, rather than just a generic ask for likes. And if you haven't seen how the medallion architecture pattern plays into where a tool like this actually fits, does QuickDML belong in your bronze, silver, or gold layer? Think about how that impacts your data governance. If you want the answer, that's the explainer right there. Watch that one next.